When you think of open world games, you might think of Ghost of Tsushima, Assassin's Creed, or Grand Theft Auto. In fact, you would probably name 50 open world games before you landed on Animal Crossing. But the interesting thing here is that Animal Crossing has created an open world design that is completely effective, but different from all other open world games. Even completely different from other open world Nintendo games. But the question is why, and the reason might surprise you. Also, hi, I'm Holly. I'm a game developer who learned to make games in quarantine, and now I make content all about gaming and game development. So if that's your thing, I would love to see you around. Open world games have a huge allure because you can go anywhere, you can do anything, and the possibilities seem endless. For a game developer, this presents a few massive problems. You end up being faced with two choices. One, make the world too accessible and spread out, and it's boring. The player can see everything, there's no room for excitement, and there's no surprises. Make the world too rich, on the other hand, and the player will stay in the same spot and not explore the map. I've definitely spent hours upon hours just smithing in Skyrim, but that's neither here nor there. The challenge in most open world games is that exploration has to drive the plot forward, but excitement is what keeps the players engaged. Exploration in itself is not inherently exciting. It definitely can be, but there have been times playing Uncharted where I've been climbing for 4 hours and I'm just tired of climbing. Linear games can operate a lot differently because you know the exact route the player is going to take. You can lock different areas, you can write logic around invisible triggers, and you can make the player complete a certain level or criteria in order to move on to the next thing. But with open worlds, you don't have the same guardrails, so you have to use a different plot device to move the game forward. Simultaneously, you have to figure out how you're going to render this massive world without dropping an insane number of frames. Rendering is a whole thing, but without going too deep down the rabbit hole, it helps to know that when you're making a game, a thing called culling exists. All it does is it renders what the camera sees and nothing else. This is partially what makes massive open world games possible. So the big question is, how do you create excitement wrapped up in exploration without turning your computer into a fire hazard? And the very straightforward answer is to simply hide things and to show players that you are hiding something. The trick is showing the right things at the right time and at the right place. But the way that you hide things and pique the player's curiosity is truly where the creativity in the design lies. Curiosity is a massively underrated human emotion, and it's probably why you clicked on this video. But it's the gameplay itself that is usually responsible for the exact approach that's taken when it comes to open world game design. For example, in Breath of the Wild, Link has a paraglider. It would be one thing if Link could only walk, and it might make this game significantly easier to design. But no, you can fly off from any summit in the game, which made this particularly challenging for Nintendo. If you haven't seen this video, it is super interesting to see how they made all of these choices. Another interesting example is Katamari. You start out small, you have this entire world around you, but your camera is only focused on you and the objects that are around your size and slightly bigger. As you grow, so does your environment. It wouldn't make sense to have the camera completely zoomed out, and it would totally overwhelm you, but that was a conscious choice that had to be made. With games that are made for very powerful consoles and PCs, it gets closer to lifelike. Why? Well, because it can. You don't need to alter the game design as much. With more power, you can render more, and you can add more content for the player to explore. Often even just the landscape and landmarks can play a big part in this. If you see a mountain over the hill or a town to your left, you just may veer off track and do some exploring. If you see a snowy area or a desert area or a character yelling at the wind, it might just pique your curiosity enough to go see it. Basically, you can have your cake and eat it too. You can have interesting things all over the map. Knowing this, what does any of this have to do with Animal Crossing? Animal Crossing is a pretty unique use case for open world game design. It's not an exploration-based game. It's not a story-driven game. It's a cozy game. In other games, the worlds are designed to conceal and reveal information at the right time and place. But in Animal Crossing, it's actually the exact opposite, and this is what makes it so unique. If we look at the GameCube version of Animal Crossing, we have these tiles that make up the map. To move to the next tile, it's jarring, often unsatisfying, and disorienting. But mainly, there's just not much to do in one tile. Could you zoom out and remove the weird transition? Yeah, but there's very little payoff to doing so. But by bending the world, the player is actually able to see much more information, and it provides context as to where the player is in the world without having to look at the map. You can actually tell that the world bending effect is stronger on the DS version of Animal Crossing than it is on the Switch version of Animal Crossing because the screen was smaller. The world bending effect they are using is not actually a globe like in Super Mario Galaxy, but it is cylindrical. It's like running over a tin can. And what's even more interesting is that the farther away an object is from the camera, it's bent around this cylindrical plane at an exponential rate, which means that you are able to see a pretty decent chunk of the map without having to sacrifice what's immediately next to the player. So the reason that no one chooses to copy Animal Crossing's open world design with the globe effect is because there just aren't a lot of games that have the problem of needing to display more map information than you can fit on the screen. Additionally, the map size is very small for an open world game. This makes it so that the player would want to know where they are on the map pretty much at any time. There is no getting lost in the world of Animal Crossing, so you would be really limited to how big you can even make the world before the illusion breaks and is not helpful anymore. That being said, I think it is a truly perfect and very charming solution to their unique problem for this game. I don't think Animal Crossing would be what it is today without this effect. If you liked the technical analysis of this video and want to learn how to think like a programmer yourself, I want to introduce you to the sponsor of today's video, Brilliant. Brilliant teaches you how to learn by doing by providing thousands of interactive lessons at your fingertips. If you're anything like me and you really need to see the whole picture before you're able to learn something, Brilliant can teach you how to think like a programmer from the ground up. They have courses on general programming, which can help you learn all the essential elements to coding, from loops and variables to nesting and conditionals, all of which you will use in game development. To try everything Brilliant has to offer for free for a full 30 days, visit brilliant.org/rigormortistortoise or scan the QR code on screen, or you can click on the link in the description. You'll also get 20% off an annual premium subscription. Thanks for watching!